Hello, everyone. I'm Anna from GreenGeeks, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, E-commerce SEO for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and the holidays by Lindsay Halsey, co-founder of Pathfinder SEO. We're so glad to have you again, Lindsay, one more time. And real quick, I want to say a couple of words about GreenGeeks for those of you who are watching and may not be familiar with us or maybe watching the recording. We are at 300% green energy, we're hosting provider, which essentially means we put back 3 times the amount of energy we consume into the web in the form of renewable energy. We have been recognized by the US EPA since 2009 as a green power partner, and we offer share hosting, reseller hosting, VPS, and dedicated server. So now moving on to the webinar, a couple of housekeeping items. Please go ahead. If you can come up with any questions during the presentation, if you could put them in the Q&A, and then Lindsay will be answering them at the end of her presentation. You're also welcome to chat in the room, in the chat room. Remember to select everyone if you want everyone to see what you're discussing. And as always, we are recording this, and we will be sending you a link with the recording after the webinar is ended. And finally, we enable live transcription for this webinar, so you can enable them by clicking on the show captions icon. And now I'm going to say a few words about Lindsay. Lindsay is the co-founder of Pathfinder SEO and a partner of an SEO agency, WebShine. For the past 15 years, she has worked with small to large businesses on focused high-return SEO campaigns. These campaigns are built on real-world approach to SEO, with excellent communication and collaboration at their center. Today, Lindsay teaches web designers and digital agency owners how to start and grow their SEO services offering so that they can grow their recurring revenue and build more sustainable agencies. So now, welcome, Lindsay. Would you like to say hi and start sharing your screen and your presentation?
Yes, thanks so much, Anna and Erica, for having me back, and I'm really excited to speak with you and share with you all some suggestions for a timely topic, which is e-commerce SEO all around Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and the holidays. And thanks to you all for being here, those that are joining us live. I look forward to answering questions at the end, so don't hesitate to start typing those in, and we'll try to keep today as interactive as possible. But as we get started here, I want to set the stage a bit around some concepts or key dynamics in e-commerce SEO. Because it's a big field, not all e-commerce websites are built on the same platform. Some have one product and some have thousands or hundreds of thousands. And so some of the key dynamics that we see in e-commerce SEO is that, generally speaking, not always, we're dealing with high search volume and high competition keyword spaces. So there are a lot of people going to Google, Yahoo, and Bing and searching for products and the shopping marketplace. And so that's the exciting part, is there's a lot of opportunity because a lot of people are doing it and the sea is large. But the challenge comes with it a lot of competition. And so for most businesses in the e-commerce space, one of the key dynamics and things we need to think about with e-commerce SEO is, how do we invest our limited budget in the most impactful way? So if we have a couple of hours versus 100 hours or whatever it might be to invest in SEO, where should we invest that time, and what's going to be the most impactful in terms of results and sales? So that's one thing I'd like to help you walk away from this, is a couple of action items where you say, hey, I have 3 hours. I'm going to go and do these 3 things because I have confidence that they're the next most impactful tasks for my e-commerce campaign. The second key dynamic we see in e-commerce SEO is oftentimes there are quick wins in content marketing. And so the content marketing space is really saturated, right? Everybody's out there blogging and creating resources and doing webinars and doing all the things to generate content. Some are leveraging AI to scale, and we'll talk a little bit more about where AI can and may not be good fits in terms of content marketing. But in the world of e-commerce SEO, we often find more low-hanging fruit in the content marketing space. So there's usually more quick wins in that area. And so we'll talk a lot about that today. And then another key dynamic in e-commerce SEO is that, again, we're dealing with a wide range of businesses and budgets. And so we'll talk a little bit about how to scale your e-commerce SEO if you are a large e-commerce website and have to think about how to do this across a lot of products. But then also, if you're a small player in the space, what are some of the areas, like how do you even get in inroads? Because a lot of times we're in one of two scenarios there. So the way I'd like to kind of focus today's discussion is giving you tips. And I have, I think, 7 tips. We'll walk through each one, and then we will look at examples, answer questions, etc. And these tips do relate to the holiday season and sort of the increase in sales volume and search volume that we see at this time of year. But they can also be applied any time of the year on an e-commerce website. So we'll add some holiday themes in here, but do know that this is, the kind of e-commerce SEO strategy that we think about year round. So my first tip for you is to utilize a funnel strategy for keyword research. And what I mean by that is usually when we start with SEO, we start by identifying the words and phrases that people are searching for our products, our services, our website. And keyword research can be overwhelming. And so some people get stuck on keyword research and then they don't advance any bit further. And the main reason that we get stuck is because there's so many keywords we could be researching. It's hard to know kind of where to begin. And so when I approach keyword research for an e-commerce site, I like to use a framework to kind of help structure the way I'm thinking and approaching my keyword research. And the framework I like to use is the customer acquisition framework, because this is like in the real world how we acquire customers, and that we move them from a period of building awareness to getting them to consider our product to converting. And our SEO strategy can reach people in each phase of this funnel. So that upper funnel where they're just building awareness in a keyword space. Then mid-funnel, they're starting to get a little more transactional, and then conversion, they're ready to hit the buy now button. And ideally, but not always, our e-commerce SEO strategy is going to hit people in each of these markets because we know that it takes multiple touch points, generally speaking, to make a sale. It's pretty rare someone searches on Google, has never heard of your product, clicks the first result, hits the buy now button within a couple minutes and moves on. That's not the ordinary way that we sell product online. Usually they interact via organic search, maybe some paid ads. They might see something on social media. They may read a review. They may get an email marketing newsletter from you, and then they hit the buy now button. So multiple touch points is often the case. And in this case, when we think about this map of our keywords following the funnel and then the structure of our e-commerce website, we can kind of map the type of content that fits the different phase of the funnel. So when we talk about the conversion phase or the bottom of the funnel, we're usually talking about your homepage, your about page, maybe a reviews page, or any kind of comparison pages. Basically, we're talking about people that are searching for you by your brand name. And so they're really close to hitting the buy now button, and they might be looking for keywords in that space. When we get into the consideration or mid-funnel phase, we're talking about people with direct intent for the products you sell, but they're not using your brand when they search for it. And that tends to map to your collection or category pages and your individual product pages. And then your keywords at the awareness side of the funnel or at the top usually relate to a blog or resource center. So they're not transactional in nature. They're information-based queries. And they usually map to that kind of your content. So let's look at an example of what do I mean by doing keyword research following this strategy. And my second tip to you in this area is that you don't need a tool to go out and do this. Your tool is your own brain and your own strategic planning. And let's talk about what an example keyword funnel strategy looks like. And I picked a random e-commerce website in the outdoor industry space, a company called Mountain Hardware. And I started to think about, well, what are the conversion related keywords that we see? Well, we know people search for this brand by searching on Google for Mountain Hardware. Then probably the next most frequently searched for would be like Mountain Hardware sale or Mountain Hardware reviews. We know they may look for specific products, like I want a Mountain Hardware sleeping bag or a Mountain Hardware tent. I might be wanting to know if they have a good warranty policy. I'm deciding if I want to convert, and I'm like, hey, do they have, customer service, a warranty? It's a big purchase, so I search Mountain Hardwear warranty. Or I might search a comparison. I'm really close to hitting the buy now button, and I say, I want to know about Mountain Hardwear versus Patagonia. And so these are all the types of keywords that fit into this area of the funnel. And for most brands, you're going to already rank pretty well in these spaces, although there may be opportunities for you to pursue them. And so we find these types of things by searching on Google and looking at the suggestions that they have in here. We can see that what people are searching for, and you can start to see like that warranty and pro deal popped right up. I bet if I start typing in the word sale pops up, or sale closeout, etc. So I can use Google Search Suggest and then my own sort of knowledge around the brand to think of ways people search for this brand in the conversion area. For some brands like Mountain Hardwear, this is probably a huge subset of their traffic, right? And it's because they're big brands, so a lot of people are searching for them by name. If you have a smaller e-commerce website, you may not have so many people searching for your actual brand of your e-commerce site. So this might be a smaller opportunity, but still something to consider. And then when we move up the funnel, we move into this consideration phase, and we're starting to think about, well, what do people search for? What are like 2, 3, 4, sometimes even 5-word phrases that people search for when they're looking for our products, but they don't know our brand? So for this example, we're thinking about things like lightweight tent or 30-degree down sleeping bag. So we went from a high volume keyword, lightweight tent, which is probably very competitive, to a more specific keyword, 30-degree down sleeping bag. And we're going to have a lot of keywords that fit into this space on a website like Mountain Hardwear because they have a lot of products. So this is one of those areas where it will scale based on the number of products or product collection and category pages you have, because you're sort of brainstorming keywords for each one as you expand out your overall keyword strategy. So other examples here would be things like camping gear, mountaineering gear, women's hiking pants. You can get super specific, men's lightweight rain pants for backpacking, etc. Usually the more specific you get, what we call the longer tail, the less competition you end up having. And then we can move over into that awareness section. And this is really like things that might get in front of the right audience, but they're not necessarily in a super transactional mindset. So if I search for something like best treks in the world or Kilimanjaro packing list, I'm an outdoor enthusiast. I'm planning a trip. I'm starting to think about what to bring. Eventually, I'm going to have to pick gear, and I might be in the market for a new jacket or a new backpack, etc. So we can get in front of that right audience a couple steps ahead of when they're transactional for my keyword space. And I can do the same with some keywords that start to kind of move into that consideration phase. So they kind of blur the lines between consideration and awareness with content around things like best tents for camping with dogs and things like that. So lots of opportunities there. And so this is my first tip to you, is to take a step back, take a 360-degree view, spend probably about an hour building out sort of a chart or a plan around sort of which keywords fit into which phases, and start to think about how you want to get in front of the right audience at the right time. Obviously, right now, with it being the holiday season and Black Friday and Cyber Monday, some of your keywords in this space may have to do with those phrases. So your conversion phrases might have to do with the word sale or Mountain Hardwear, Black Friday sale, things like that, because people are maybe starting to search to see, hey, when is the sale happening, etc. They kind of already know they're in the market. You also might have some consideration phrases that have to do with sales or holidays. And with awareness, gift ideas tend to be the big keyword space. So I'm looking for a gift idea for a backpacking enthusiast or a camper. That's the kind of content that would map into your awareness funnel that's more timely and geared towards the holidays. My second tip is content is the name of the game. So this is where the rubber meets the road when it comes to what do we do with these keywords. Like you brainstorm these ideas, maybe you spend an hour just kind of getting some concepts together here. And now you're like, wait, but what do I do with this? How do I tell Google these are the words I want to rank for? Well, we do it by creating content. And content is how we share our genuine expertise and experience in a subject matter in a way that needs to be genuinely helpful for your audience. So there are no shortcuts here. And it's really all about quantity over quality. And so when we think about where can we create content, where will we have an impact on a website, one of the places that we see that's usually underutilized and a big opportunity for e-commerce sites are on your category or collection pages. So if you're in the WooCommerce space, you probably call them category pages. This is where we aggregate products and tag them all together and say, these are all of our rock climbing backpacks in this example. So there's a screenshot from Mountain Hardware's website, and you can see that what Google and users get is some breadcrumbs up there. You can see that there's a header, rock climbing packs. There's some filterability, so I can look at climbing versus hiking, etc. And then there's product, but that's about it on this page. And if you look at 9 out of 10 e-commerce websites, this is kind of what you get, which is pretty standard because the user experience is then to bring me into the products. But that being said, these pages can act as really powerful organic landing pages, meaning a person on Google searches best rock climbing packs and lands on this page as their first user experience. And so one of the things that can differentiate your collection and category pages from the competition is that you have a keyword-friendly header. I would say that they did that here by having rock climbing packs. Then intro copy. So they actually write about, the actual product line that we're talking about with a little intro copy, generally speaking, above the products. Then down below the products, they might add an FAQ like how to pick rock climbing packs, what's the right size, etc. What are some real questions? And then they may have some testimonials where they actually handpicked some of the reviews on their packs and said, here's what some of our customers say about Mountain Hardware's rock climbing packs, and then they feature some more content. So all of a sudden, this collection or category page goes from having maybe 100 words on it to having a couple hundred words to even maybe more if you do the FAQs and the testimonials. And all of the copy isn't just about adding keywords and inserting keywords, but it's actually about improving user experience. It's helpful if we land on a page like this and it has a good header. It doesn't just say backpacks. It says the thing, rock climbing packs. It's helpful if there's intro copy. And we can make our FAQs and our testimonials helpful too if we showcase genuine experience and results. And so a brand like this probably has influencers who use their product. They could go and get a famous rock climber that uses their backpacks and have them write up some information for the FAQs and really like play off like the influencer, whoever the expert is behind the product line. And there'd be a lot of fun things that they could do there. So this is one content play essentially, or content strategy, which is to focus on your category pages. Another focus area you may have are on your resource pages. And so some websites will have a resources section where they create that kind of upper funnel content. And in this, we just want to follow standard best practices for creating helpful content. And then think about how we link back into our product. So in this example, it's an e-commerce website that sells men's dress shirts. And so they have a great resource about how to tie a bow tie. They get in front of people that might be in their market. And then they have visuals and they create great content. And then there's a tiny little link to shop bow ties, which you can probably barely see in there. But this is an example of an area where you could bring people in through a resource guide like this, and then move them over and start to sell them product. So that's content play number 2, is create resource content related to the topic. And then the other area within resources is more of a traditional blog. And in this case, again, we're following traditional, SEO best practices for blogging. We're linking in, and here we have things like Kilimanjaro climbing gear lists and things like that as part of our potential content play. So I want to show you a couple of examples of this stuff, kind of more out in the wild. And let's go over and look at this website here. It's also in the outdoor industry. And let's look at how they might be leveraging the concept of adding that intro text. Here they have their core keyword, ultralight tents. And then here they have a secondary header and a nice solid, paragraph of content. And if you look at the fine print, you'll see that they have the ultralight backpacking tents and things like that into the content, but that overall it's a really, engaging copy. And then we scroll down the tents and we see that at the bottom, they've got a really nice testimonial that's kind of visually appealing. And then they're pushing people from the testimonial over to the product where the testimonial came from. So I think that's a really good example of what a content play might look like in the e-commerce space here. If we talk a little bit about gift guides and things like that, you can see on their homepage, they've already got their call to action up. And this is probably the most impactful next step you could do for a site that's trying to get ready for the holidays is create a gift guide around your product line. And so here, if we go to their gift guide, we can see that they created a page, not a blog post. Those are two options you have. You can create a page or a post. And they have this ultimate gear adventure guides. And then they actually have multiple gear guides because they have a lot of products. And so they have things about camping. They have things about people who like to go hiking. And so they have individual gifts here and some opportunity to, in this case, it's just a product collection page. So probably a good opportunity to add more copy on this page if they really want it to rank. So there's a little example for you there in the holiday space. When we talk about these kind of Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and the holidays, I just showed you an example of like a page that looks like a collection page, essentially, or category page that needs some added content and things to actually excel. What we can do right now is sort of anticipate that people are going to be looking for gift guides. And when we create a gift guide, we can create them in specific ways, because the more specific we get, the more likely we are to get a high ranking, like in the top 3, which is where we actually are going to win the click. So I'd rather go kind of hyper specific, especially in this day and age. Sort of gone is the era of the definitive guide or the gift guide to whatever. We want to get really specific. In this case, I did a search for like best gifts for a 10-year-old boy who loves sports. And if we go and do that, gift ideas for a 10-year-old boy who likes sports, and we come and we start to kind of look at the search results. As we scroll down, the first result comes from Amazon. It's going to be a little bit hard to compete with. And if we open it up, it's probably a product collection page and not an easy one to displace. But the second result in here is from a random-ish looking website to me called wickeduncle.com. And so wickeduncle.com is getting some pretty good traction for this blog post. And you look at the site and it doesn't look overly modern or anything like that. And you can see essentially that this is a blog that really went specific for this search query and created this gift guide and is doing really well. And so one of my tips to you to take this even one step further. So if you're creating a gift guide, the first is get specific. Note who it's for and what their interests are. Gift guide for whatever it is, or people interested in this. Get really clear about that target audience. But then my other tip to you is to consider an editorialized approach to the gift guide. So a lot of folks create gift guides and their product collection pages, and that's fine, but there's not a lot of like personality coming through that or conversation. So instead, you might experiment with, if you are a genuine expert in that area, writing a gift guide that has a little bit of an introduction, like what's your skin in the game on the topic. So if I was creating a gift guide for 10-year-old boys who love sports, mine would be from a personal point of view. I would actually probably write in the first person because I have a 10-year-old boy who likes sports. And so I could do it from the perspective of being a consumer essentially in this space and spending a lot of time researching good gifts for my son. On the other hand, if I, have a different area of expertise, like if we go back to one of those outdoor industry ones, your gift guide could come from a mountain guide in the field who, is, writing on behalf of Mountain Hardware and uses these products. And so it's from somebody with a total level of expertise in that area. And it'd be great if they did a little storytelling, like one of, my favorite things around the holidays is giving gifts to my fellow outdoor friends, blah, blah, blah. And so if they tell their story as part of the gift guide, it's going to resonate more with Google as being genuinely helpful content. And it's going to stand out from all the AI generated content out there. And that's really what you need, is this contrast there. So get creative on your gift guides and find that personal voice, and don't be afraid to let it show through. So your gift guide is not only the best gift guide for that space, but also showcases some personality and some genuine experience. My tip number 3 in the world of e-commerce SEO is to leverage automation to scale when possible. And so this basically pertains to, what do we do if we have a big e-commerce website? Like, is there something we have to hit every product or every product collection individually? That could be really time consuming. And the answer is, in the world of WooCommerce and WordPress, there's some scalability opportunity there. And so if you have a plugin like Yoast, or all-in-one SEO or Rank Math installed, you can set up, for example, page title and meta description formulas for your product pages. So you can come in and say, for every product on my website, I want the SEO title to follow this format, and I want the meta description to follow this format. And so this is kind of a nice way to elevate your on-page SEO to, like, I'll give it a B+ as a grade. In the stroke of 10 minutes, right? You go in, you get into Yoast, you come in here and you orchestrate a really good formula for the title and meta description and hit save, and it goes across all your products. You can then customize your meta descriptions and page titles and things for your top performing products. So this can be your like blanket across the width of your site where you get all of your products, knowing that you can then jump in and customize for your top 10 or top 20 products. You can do the same thing for your category and collection pages and things like that. So we're just looking for those ways to say, okay, this feels overwhelming. We have 1,000 products and we know we need to add page titles and meta descriptions. Is there a quick win or a shortcut here? There actually is, a quick win. And so this would be another example of something you could do before the holidays, because those page titles and meta descriptions help you win the click on Google. It's sort of like your ad text on Google. So you want to put your best foot forward and customize this as best you can. And here's a way you can do it in like 10 minutes and get that B+ kind of grade and think about that. There are other ways that we think about automating and scaling in terms of e-commerce SEO. Sometimes we get creative with our 301 redirect management when we talk about technical SEO. If we have like a site redesign or something and a lot of 301 redirects, we might come up with ways to batch them. Or we might use an AI plugin for alternative text and things like that to get our alternative text up to a decent level on a website with thousands or hundreds of thousands of product images. So we look for those ways to automate and scale whenever possible in this space. And then the next tip here is to remember you can phase the work. I think a lot of people get stuck in the e-commerce space because they have a good idea, but they're like, to do it across my whole website would take 100 hours. And I don't have 100 hours. And so I'm not going to do anything because I don't have the depth to do it at the scale that's needed. So think about that, e-commerce website that has, a bunch of product collection pages, for instance, like doing those intro paragraphs for, 60 or so pages would be a lot of work. Even if it takes us a half hour to write the copy and implement it, which would be pretty quick, that's still a big chunk of work. And so most people would just set it aside until they have the bandwidth for that. But you can phase the work. And so we can phase the work in different ways. And this is where you want to get strategic and where your e-commerce SEO can rise above the competition is by thinking about, how do I want to phase the work? One way can be by business impact. So in this case, we might talk to, in this case, a client and say, okay, where do you need us to, gain more traction sooner or faster? And they could say, well, we're really well known in the fire and EMS space, but we're just entering the athletic space. So the business impact of you working on the pages within the athletic space would be more impactful for us than the fire and EMS. Or maybe it's about profit margins. We make more money off this segment of our business than this. And so let's go focus on where we have higher profit margins, etc. So you can do it based on the real world business impact that one extra visitor via that keyword would bring. Or you could do it by search volume. There are more people looking for these products or this product line. So I'm going to go put more effort there knowing the opportunity space is a little bit bigger. So different ways to think about phasing the work, but this is just something that you want to do when you're sitting down and you're saying, okay, even when we go back to that keyword research, maybe I'm not going to do keyword research for all of my product collections in across the whole site. Maybe I'm just going to go down one line item of like fire and EMS in this segment. Or maybe I'm going to go across the top and hit the main navigation and the upper, product categories, but not get into sub-product categories and things like that in my first phase of work. So you can phase the work, whether you're doing it for yourself in your own site or you're offering SEO as a service. The next tip is to test different strategies for impact. And this is something I learned from making mistakes. And that is I would deploy an SEO strategy for an e-commerce client and find success doing something like maybe it's those introductory paragraphs on collection pages. And then I'd take another e-commerce client in a different keyword space down the same path. And I thought, well, this makes total sense. I just did this for one client. I was really successful. So I'm going to go and do the same thing for another client. And we're going to go create this and do it on 100 product collection pages or something like that. So we're going to go do a deep dive. We're going to go and invest 30, 40, 50 hours of effort into this initiative because I saw it work over here. And then a couple of months later, I'd be like, it didn't work quite as much as I thought it would for this client. Maybe it's a more competitive industry. Maybe it's a different keyword space. Maybe their copywriting wasn't engaging. There can be different reasons. But basically, even when you learn a skill, it doesn't mean you're going to have the same impact across all the different e-commerce sites you might work on. And if you're doing it for yourself, you have all these different ideas. How do you prioritize? Should I work on my product category pages or should I write that blog post? How do you decide? Should I write a new blog post or should I revise an existing blog post? There's so many things you can do. Which one is going to be the most valuable? And the answer is there's not always a single, option. We have to test it and test for impact. And so the way I approach this now for clients' websites is I essentially identify what I think are going to be my 3 biggest areas of opportunity in the content space. So in this example, maybe I identify that the product category pages need intro copy. That's one area of opportunity. They have a lot of old blog posts that have traction on Google, but they've been dropping or declining in performance. So they were really good, and then now they're kind of dipping in performance. So they have kind of a library of old content. And then I have a lot of new content ideas for them and things that they could be writing about now that we've added that SEO lens to their content strategy. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to identify those 3 different kind of pillars, those 3 different action items, and then I'm going to implement that strategy 3 times each. So basically, I'm going to get 9 at-bats. I'm going to go do 3 intro paragraphs on 3 top collection pages. I'm going to go revise 3 old blog posts, and I'm going to go write 3 new blog posts. And then I'm going to step back and let this mature for a little bit, at least a few weeks, ideally, more like 2 months. And then I'm going to go look in Google Analytics, the Google Search Console, my rank tracking software, et cetera. And I'm going to see, where did I make the most inroads? Like, what's working? And then I'm going to get excited because I'm going to be able to kind of rank the opportunity space here and say, hey, we should go all in on this one area because this was really valuable. Or, you know what? I don't think we should even do any more of this. It's not working. So maybe their mid-funnel keyword space is just too competitive. So playing around and writing those intro paragraphs for the collection pages just isn't going to work. But their copywriting is really working well in the blogging space, which is less competitive for them. And so we're going to go all in over on that strategy. So test for impact before you go all in on one of these strategies and start blogging once a week or revising old blog posts and not creating new content, and make sure that your idea sort of has some proof of its value. My 6th tip for you is something you're probably already doing and don't need to do anything about, which is to leverage schema markup for products. And so this is that structured data that lives behind a product, and it tells Google, this is the product name, this is the product price, this is the product brand, etc. So you want to have that coming through. And on most websites, the schema markup is going to happen automatically via your content management system. So WooCommerce or WordPress will do it automatically for you. What you can do is go to Google's rich result test. And you can drop in one of your product URLs and see what information Google is able to extract via that structured data to confirm if everything looks good. And it's okay if you have like 1 or 2 non-critical issues. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to make sure you don't have any red flags here, or identify if it's a missing opportunity space, like, wow, I have products with no schema or structured data. Because Google loves having that structured markup behind the scenes, because it makes it very clear, this is an e-commerce product, these are its reviews, these are its prices, and then Google can extract that information and use it in the search engine results page to help market your products. So go and test. That's another one that will only take you 5 or 10 minutes, and you can likely check it off your to-do list. And my final tip for you is that link building still matters. So everything we've talked about so far has been all about your website. And this is, of course, the place we feel most comfortable. We love working on our own websites or our clients' websites because we have full control over all of this. What shifts is essentially that we also need to have a domain that has strong authority and strong trust. So we shared our expertise with our content, but the authority and the trust comes from the website, like having, good design, having a contact page, basically making it feel like I'm comfortable making a transaction. Google can see all of that, but it also comes from literally the domain authority of the URL where your website lives, or the domain where your website lives. And that tends to come from backlinks, from other people linking into your website. And every backlink sort of accumulates, and it's like a vote of endorsement. And so if we create best-in-class content and we have a domain authority that's kind of equal to our competitors, then we're going to get good traction on Google. But if we create best-in-class content and we're on a domain that has low authority and trust in terms of the actual domain, that content's not going to go very far. And we see this a lot for small new e-commerce sites. So you're just getting off the ground. Maybe you're moving from the brick and mortar of a local business to having an online shop. And that domain just is new. And so it just doesn't have a lot of built-in authority and trust. And so we want to try to figure out how to get backlinks, not in a paid or schemy way, but in a really genuine way, by leveraging our partnerships and the real world business that we're doing out there. And so one of the things that we're doing right now is trying to, create content around Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And so you might be able to use this holiday sale season as a partnership opportunity. And so this is something that we've done at Pathfinder over the years, which is basically we work in an ecosystem of partners that are not competitors, but are rather adjacent businesses that serve the same audience with different products and services. So think about a great hosting company like GreenGeeks, and an SEO software company like Pathfinder, and WordPress page builder like Beaver Builder, et cetera. You can think of like there's a ton of businesses in an ecosystem, and they're not competitors. They're cooperating and doing partnerships and working together. And so one of the ways during Black Friday and Cyber Monday that you can build backlinks is to go in, identify who those partners are, and to share your deals and help do cross promotion. So build a page. In our case, it was on our blog, I think, and it listed all of our partners and all of their sales. And now all of those partners got promotion during the month of November, early December, because we sent it out in email and social media, et cetera. But it turns out the blog post still lives on our website. So they also got a long-term backlink into their website. And maybe we had a partnership with like 20 people in our ecosystem. So we passed along links to 20 businesses. Well, it also turns out they all did the same thing. So we picked up links from 20 businesses. And that is considered a link exchange in the world of SEO, but it's a genuine one because we are actual partner oriented. We would recommend in the real world. We didn't just trade links with some random business in a different ecosystem. We basically promoted businesses that we truly work with. So you can create small groups of sort of like-minded non-competitors and align on some kind of a cross-promotional strategy around your holiday sales. Or another idea that I had for you in that space is if you are creating that gift guide, at first you might create a gift guide and just point to all of your own products, right? That makes sense. But is there an opportunity to promote other people's products that aren't a competitor to you in a way that then they're going to do something similar for you? So if you have a really specific niche in a product line, we work with a client and they sell hunting binoculars. So like really specific binoculars for hunting and things like that. Well, it turns out there are a lot of other, product, companies out there that build backpacks for hunting, hunters, and hats and gear and tents and, field books. Like the sky is the limit. So if they create a gift guide for hunters, it would be nice if they didn't just say the only thing in the gift guide were binoculars, right? That wouldn't be a very comprehensive gift guide. Instead, they could promote their own product alongside maybe 10 others and then reach out to all those partners and say, hey, we included you in our 2024 gift guide for the holiday season. Wanted to share the link. Just wondering, hey, do you have any information you'd like us to update? Or anything that we should add to make sure this, really highlights you in the best way. I'm not even asking for a backlink. All I'm doing is saying like, hey, I did this thing. And what's likely going to happen is they're going to say thanks. They'll probably share it on social media. They might include it in an email marketing thing. And then if they create something comparable, they're likely to include your products. So this is just a really great time of year to identify what those opportunities are in your business and take action on it. So if we had to kind of highlight of the 7 tips we've covered today for e-commerce SEO, most of these can just be phased throughout the year, right? They're kind of a broad strokes approach to e-commerce SEO. But the ones that are going to really help you right now are creating content to make sure you're matching people's intent on Google as it increases. So whether it's gift guides or sales or comparisons, make sure you have good content ready to go for those queries. And then identify who your partners are that you can do some cross promotions so that you start to put the wheels in motion for building backlinks and building that trust. So those are really my 7 e-commerce tips for you, and then how you can start to apply them to this time of year. I think the most frequently asked question I get about this topic is it too late to invest in this? Like it's, if you're watching us live, it's November 7th, and the answer is no. Some of these are things that you could really focus on literally between now and say, the end of next week, and position yourself to get some added traction during the increased search volume that's coming during Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and get yourself ahead this year, and then you can build on those successes. So if you create the holiday gift guide for 2024, my tip for you there is don't put the year 2024 in the URL. You can put it in the copy and all that stuff. That's fine. But make the actual blog post URL really evergreen. And so that way next year at this time, you just go back in and you update that old post that already has traction, and this starts to snowball and build on itself. So if you get that gift guide live now, then next year you can build on your success of this year by updating the gift guide, and you'll already have kind of street credit from the past year with that post on Google. So the answer is it's not too late to get started, and you just want to say, hey, I am limited on time at this point. I have kind of the rest of this week and next to kind of get my ducks in a row. And so these are some of the things that you can do to get going. I'll also just leave you, if you are a web designer or a digital agency and you are looking to start offering SEO services or just make your SEO services offering more core part of your business, we built Pathfinder specifically for you. And it's a software that includes process documentation, integrated SEO tools, community and training and resources. And we, of course, have a sale running already for Black Friday, Cyber Monday that you can check out on our website. And I also want you to have my email address in case you just have any general questions.
Wonderful. Thank you. I was going to ask you, Lindsay, if people wanted to reach out to you, what was the best way to do so? But you have given us everything. So here
no worries.
go.
Yes, email is the best, and it's Lindsay@Pathfinder SEO. And to leave us off on just a screen with kind of the core content as you start to ask questions, I'll go back here so that you have that e-commerce tips list, and see if anyone has any questions.
Let me see. I don't see any question actually here in the Q&A or in the chat. I guess you've been very clear and you've answered everybody's questions on how to best do e-commerce SEO for Black Friday and Cyber Monday and the holidays. Just say thank you from people.
Awesome. Well, thank
great.
you. And I can hang here for another minute if anything comes in. But otherwise, if folks have questions after, just drop me an email and I'll do my best to get back to you quickly.
Yeah, we'll absolutely do that. So thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for attending this webinar. And as I said earlier in my introduction, we will be sending everyone a link to this presentation in the next few days by email, and it will be posted on our YouTube channel as well. And then look up for upcoming webinars. We have one in December. It's AI, I know, AI tools. So, and then we'll have a brand new set of webinars for next year, 2025. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, everyone. And we will see you soon.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.